Hi, and welcome to another Papetti Math YouTube video tutorial where I'm going to be teaching who? Yes, you, Algebra 1. We're going to continue on our journey of statistics in exercise number 3 on two-way frequency tables. Now, we're going to be introduced to yet another vocabulary word, and this word is conditional relative frequency. And to find the conditional relative frequency, you divide the joint frequency, or one of these four numbers, by the marginal frequency. Okay, the marginal frequency was the total of each of these. So let's just remember that these totals were 17 and 33. So find the conditional relative frequency of each row in the table. So not only are we going to find the conditional relative frequency of each row, but we're going to find it of each cell in the table as well. So now that we know that our total is 17, our conditional relative frequency for the number of students that have visited the West Coast and have also visited the Gulf Coast is going to be 12 out of 17. And if we divide 12 over 17 as a percent, we're going to get about we can do the about 70.6%. Where we look at over here, we're going to do 5 out of 17 over there, and we're going to get 5 over 17 as a percent would give us 29.4%. And that would mean our total would be 17 out of 17, and that would give us 100%. So again, 70.6% and 29.4% would add together to give us 100%. And this is saying that 70.6% of students surveyed have visited the Gulf Coast and have also visited the West Coast. No, it's saying that of the students, because we're only dealing with this row right now, so excuse me on my last thing, I might have misspoke, it might have been correct, but I can word it better for you. Of the students that have visited the West Coast, only looking at the students that have visited the West Coast, 70.6% of them have visited the Gulf Coast. Of all of the students that have visited the West Coast, 29.4% of them have not visited the Gulf Coast. So now we're going to find the conditional relative frequency of the bottom row of this table by dividing by the total, which is in this case 33. So if we're going to take 16 and divide it by 33 to find a percent of 16 over 33, it's going to be about 48.5%. And if we were to take 17 and divide it by 33, we're going to get 51.5%. And again, if we were to add up those two percentages, we would get 100%. So now this row is saying of all of the students that have not visited the West Coast, 48.5% of them have visited the Gulf Coast. And of all of these students, of just the students that have not visited the West Coast, 51.5% of them have not visited the Gulf Coast. So that's what it means to do a conditional relative frequency. You divide the joint frequency by the marginal frequency to get each individual amount. Now, lots of words in these first three exercises, but luckily I think those are all of the fancy vocabulary words that we're going to be looking at when it comes to two-way frequency tables. So if you've made it this far and it still makes sense, give this video a thumbs up to let me know that I'm doing an okay job helping you out learning statistics. Otherwise, we could go on to exercise number 4, where we're going to look at a little bit more of two-way tables.